I know it's a weird time for people who usually watch the channel, and I might get some other folks or traffic here, so I am leaving the comments off just in case that happens, because I don't want this to be super long. First, I want to tell you a little bit of a testimony or high strangeness testimony that happened again. And I like to do that just in case anyone does show up for the live. So, once again, yesterday, there's this new show on Apple called Dark Matter. And it's a lot like a lot of other shows out there. There's this theme of a multiverse and parallel universes. And that's a theme in a lot of Mormon movies by Angel Studios. They have a new one out. And it's sort of part of their theology. And you could infer that from the Bible as well, possibly. But it's not like a salvational issue. It's just one of those science things that we're not aware of right now. And I've given my opinion on how I think that works as far as as far as the information I have available to me at this point. Growing up partially Catholic, I was blessed to understand that faith and religion weren't like mutually exclusive of each other. Like they blended, they could go together. But anyways, so I was watching Dark Matter about, oh my gosh, I just said it, Schrodinger's cat is what they were talking about in the first episode. And I just wanted to offer some strange things that I noticed. So he goes to this other place where he actually was more successful, and he had created this Schrodinger's box, but instead of putting a cat in it, he put himself in the box. And there was also, he asked somebody to make this psychotropic drug, and that was injected before this was done. And now again, there's all these things that are similar with like alleged alien abductions where you have these injection sites on your body. I've talked about that happening in my testimony, but I don't believe in aliens per se, at least not in the way that other people do. I do believe in the spirit realm and like there being another dimension beside us, underneath of us, on top of us, kind of like a slinky, and time is the spiral. So I just did a video not too long ago, a testimonial. I think my desk is like the thumbnail or something. And I talked about the name Charlie and what that meant to me. I'm not close to a person named Charlie. It's this inanimate object I gave a name to, basically, to kind of be a direction for my trauma. I didn't want to hate the people who had hurt me, so I kind of hated a inanimate object, and I gave this object a name that had hurt me very badly. So their son in this show, his name is Charlie. Jennifer Connelly, which is my first name, is the actress in it, and she's also in Dark City. And if you've never seen it and you like the Truman Show, you really have to see it because, again, there's this alien abduction, or I don't even want to say that. There's like this element of other beings manipulating things behind the strings. And, the movies are kind of hopeless. They almost give you like there's no options or no choice. You have no choice. But again, I'm really big on consent, so I try to talk about that. Anyway, his best friend is Ryan. I talked about how that name, for whatever reason, was part of my testimony. I don't know somebody named Ryan again. It was just a name that kept coming up over and over. And so this morning, and I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but those are the commonalities with that show, and I've talked about this happening over and over and over again. Either I am the most psychic person in the world, somebody's trying to tell me something through my own subconscious, or somebody's stealing bits of my life for television shows. I don't know. Or they're interactive. They interact with us like that truther guy said, and somehow they're live time. I don't know. I don't know. But then when you ask people about these shows, you don't get any comments. You don't get anyone else saying, yeah, that's how I saw it too, or anything like that. So you never know. But I had just talked about this, so I wanted to mention that. All right, so real quickly, on to what we're going to talk about tonight. I had no idea what was going on tonight, but I wrote in my journal already so I could tell you guys. Most people know at this point, if you've watched the channel, how I personally feel about the internet. I do believe it can bring a lot of positives. We can learn a lot with computers, and it, like, you know, they can house our information and data, and we can communicate via them. But we need to keep in mind that we created them. They did not create us. And it seems to me the generation of social media and having a camera in everybody's face all the time has created an entire society of people who can't help but be narcissistic. Me too. So I'm not pointing to anybody, but I want you to know where my frame of mind was this morning. And I'm just thinking about how genuine people used to be and how real people's smiles used to be, and they weren't. I can see why in the past maybe they didn't use mirrors a lot, because you wouldn't end up being a shell of a person after a time. You're always putting on a show for a camera. And I was thinking about the media and how it's nothing but agenda propaganda, and how America is not what we thought it was, and you know how you can't trust anything you hear on the television, how most people understand it now, but again, not everybody. And critical thinking is in the minority now. If you're a critical thinker, you're in the minority, whether you want to be or not, no matter what group you might fall into. And so I actually prayed. I was like, Lord, just take it away. Shut it all down for a while. Just shut the media down. Don't let them lie to us no more. Shut the internet down so people aren't using cameras all the time. Just shut it down just for a little while. Just let us breathe again and just be, you know, who we are meant to be. And and again, if you've watched my testimony, you know how it's in reverse. How things happen in reverse with my supernatural, I don't know, spiritual insights or enlightenments or whatever. So I didn't know any of what we're going to talk about was even going on. So I just wanted to get that out real quick. So let's look at what this means first, because in the links we're going to look on, there are a lot of keywords used, and I call them like hot button words or red flag words. Like, it means there's more being said here than what is being said. So I want to look at just a couple of those super quick, because I know it's late for some of you. Behemoth is a beast from the biblical book of Job and is a form of the primeval chaos monster created by God at the beginning of creation. He is paired with the other chaos monster, Leviathan, and according to later Jewish tradition, both would become food for the righteous at the end time. I don't know how I feel about that Jewish tradition, but we'll move on. Metaphorically, the name has come to be used for any extremely large or powerful entity. Why am I showing you that? Behemoth sunspot. Now, the aurora borealis is going to be visible where I'm at tonight. That has not happened since around 2000, the early 2000s. I remember because I was out trick-or-treating with my kids and gasp, you know, oh, that's a satanic holiday. Again, that comes from another place that people don't seem to understand. You just have these YouTubers like parroting and carrying off with information. It was All Souls Night. But anyway, I'm going to keep moving. Excuse me. I saw it and it was cool or whatever, but it wasn't as big a deal, I guess, as what we're having now, because you have the eclipse. I've proven that there was an uptick in earthquakes. I showed you that there is a correlation or a precedent that these things are always paired together with the eclipses and the seismic activity, as above, so below, and with the the eclipses, the seismic activity, the volcanoes, and the sunspots and solar storms. So we cross-referenced it. I couldn't find, of course, a paper that was out there published that someone else had already done, one more credible than myself. So I did it, and I did the footwork, and within the same about 30 to 45 day period, with the eclipse happening somewhere in between, you had the Carrington event, and you did have several earthquakes that were larger pop off in the United States. So I want to show you this link real quick. Behemoth sunspot AR3664 unleashes its biggest solar flare yet, sparking radio blackouts on Earth. This was 11 hours ago by, oh my gosh, I just realized the name is Daisy. And that's the name of my great-grandmother, and it's the name the dog had when we already picked her up, and it's also a name I used to use myself, so it just never ends. Our turbulent sun is certainly throwing one huge solar flaring tantrum this week. It's hard to keep up. It's gone and done it again. Now, you have some people in YouTube comment sections. Again, I don't know what news everybody is looking at. It's like people have a different opinions of what's happening. But all you have to do is know the keywords to search. And I searched blackouts, and I searched solar storm. And then I looked at a credible source like NOAA. And, you know, what I'm putting together is different than what they're putting together. So I just want to then show you something I found on Reddit as well. So we're looking through here, and we're basically looking for some key information. I will include the links, though, when it's over. The flare peaked in the early hours this morning at 2:54 a.m., triggering either temporary or complete loss of high-frequency radio signals across Asia, Eastern Europe, and Eastern Africa. Already happened. Okay, and this was 11 hours ago. Related, 4 large incoming solar bursts could supercharge the auroras this weekend. So there you have the X, of course, because you got to have the X, right? And then 398 flare this morning is not only its largest flare to date, but also the 4th largest solar flare this solar cycle. Blah, blah, blah. And then it tells you what they are and what classes they are. And right now the warning we're under is, of course, divided too. You have some people saying we are a 4, other people saying we're a 5. 5 is as high as the warning goes, and it's allegedly close to what the Carrington event was as well. And NOAA also gave a warning that we're going to look at as well. Shortwave radio blackouts, blah, blah, blah. And then it tells you how these things affect the Earth, coronal mass ejections, CMEs, right? Plasma and magnetic fields erupt from the sun. When attempting to travel through the ionized layer, radio waves can't help but interact with the electrons. So you have all kind of things that'll happen. I saw people in Germany say that they were seeing sparks and whatnot in the sky with the auroras. This recent X-flare eruption was also accompanied by a CME, a large expulsion of plasma and magnetic field from the sun. And again, it shows you where to look and how you can see that. A CME is now visible and appears the bulk is heading to the west, but an Earth-directed component is still likely. Now, they already know that we've been hit by some, so we're going to continue on. Several large solar eruptions just a few days ago. And there's a picture somebody sent in already. Excuse me. So we are approaching solar maximum, the peak period of solar activity during the sun's approximately 11-year solar cycle. And again, that would take us right back to around 2012 mark, right? Solar scientists are keeping a watchful eye on the sun as it appears solar maximum because such heightened activity can indeed impact our lives on Earth. It tells you about satellites, and it tells you that they're watching it closely. But again, I'm looking for keywords that I want to show you here specifically. And is this not the right one? Okay, we'll move on because I will include the links. NOAA satellites detect severe solar storm. So this is a different one. Now, is that March 28th? Yeah, now this is going to move forward, and it tells you, I think, if we can get there. Because they're like ongoing warnings that they keep together. There it is. So it says a G4 watch is in effect for May. Let's make sure it's still at a G4. Okay, because there's other sites saying a G5. Just to let you know, they're saying both, of course. Okay, now let's show you over here. Now they're also using the word cannibal. Why they're using it, I don't know. There were thumbnails here. My phone has been glitching, but again, I took video of the eclipse without any special glasses or anything, other than I had prescription sunglasses on, but I didn't protect the phone. Is it the same thing? Who knows? But anyways, I'm going to keep moving on. Carrington level cluster of sunspots may send a cannibal CME. NOAA says tonight's Canibal solar storm could be worst in 165 years. Now, again, you have people who are live streaming it right now on YouTube. And, you know, again, I try to stay somewhere in the middle. I don't want to be an extremist or an alarmist, but I do want people to be aware of what's going on in the world around them, and don't get, you know, it's a balancing act. You don't want to get too far to either end of the spectrum, because even if, you know, suppose something would happen, you can't accomplish much of anything if you're in a panic, right? So, extreme and very rare G5. Now they're saying it's a G5 level geomagnetic storm. Now this is just an hour ago on earth.com, so we're just going to take a look real quick, and then I'll take you to something else. Geomagnetic storming of varying intensity is likely to persist through the weekend. So it's saying CMEs are causing geomagnetic storming, and incidentally, if something like that would hit, only cars made from 1983 and before would still run. I actually have looked into this type of stuff before, just so I would be aware. You know, a woman especially has to know how to take basic care of herself. This sunspot cluster is at least 17 times the diameter of Earth. That's like the concerning part. Potential impacts on technology and infrastructure. Power grid irregularities, disruptions to HF, VHF, UHF communication, interference with GPS and satellite navigation, issues with other technologies reliant on stable geomagnetic conditions. Now, does this still affect us? We know a sun is up there, right? And we know that we used to have really smart people, scientists, pioneers in the field, right? And just magnificent. I don't know if you would have seen the type of telescopes and whatnot that we used to have. Everything's gotten a lot cheaper, at least for the public, you know, what they give us. Authorities and individuals should remain vigilant and prepared for any disruptions. Aurora visibility across the continental U.S. It will be visible here in Ohio, and I think they said down to Alabama. You should be able to see it right now, possibly, if you go outside. This rare occurrence provides an opportunity for sky watchers to witness the stunning display of the Northern Lights. And I did see it in 2003. Was I pregnant, or did I had just had a baby? That particular G5, I find it ironic that they rate it as a G5, and like our technology is called a 5G. I thought that was strange too. Just another one of those weird inversion synchronicities, right? That particular G5 event resulted in power outages in Sweden and damaged power transformers in South Africa. Incidentally, one of our transformers, allegedly, for one of those things, just one, to be repaired, it could take up to 10 years because we don't have the parts here. We get them all from different places, believe it or not just one other country, but like several. Again, I read stuff like that and I don't ever forget it. I just keep it in the back of my mind. This newest storm, caused by 7 streams of plasma ejected from the sun earlier this week, could rival the intensity of the 1859 Carrington event, which disrupted global communications and set telegraph stations on fire. Please be aware of that. I'm pretty vigilant when it comes to fire, especially. I'm not sure why. I just am. It's something that is somewhat related to my testimony. And so it's something that I respect nature and I respect the ocean and I respect the forest. And, these things can turn on you in a dime. So we have to be careful, and have that proper, we're not supposed to be in fear all the time. We're not supposed to panic, but neither should we be negligent, I guess is the word I'm looking for again. As the current geomagnetic storming continues, it is crucial for individuals and organizations to stay informed. Exactly, right? Like, it's a good idea. Understanding them. Now it gets into like what they are and the different names and the things involved and what it does to the planet or the plane, the realm's magnetic field. And tells you what could possibly happen. Power grids, it says, could go down. It could cause probably fire along the lines, all kind of damage. There are already people in Florida and Georgia. Over 100,000 people in Florida are without power and 10,000 in Georgia. But those are supposedly 2 storms that are happening down there. So if nothing else, pray for those people and check on your relatives, please. Charged particles can damage satellite electronics and disrupt communication signals. If you have an extra phone, throw it in a Faraday cage, which is a microwave. Your microwave is also a Faraday cage because it has to protect you from microwave rays. So you can pop your stuff into the microwave. I have a few little bags. I buy tinctures and things that are made from like mushrooms and whatnot that can't be, I guess, I don't even know what word I'm looking for. It just protects them. And so I put like extra phones in those. And you could probably fit a Walkman or like a little band-to-band radio in there. Radio communications can go. We already know this. Monitoring and forecasting, so we know that they're doing allegedly everything they can. Carrington event, Halloween storms, and the Quebec blackout, 1989. I did not know that. Understanding them, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then it gives is this the update? I think, yeah. So it says now it's saying, this solar cycle began in December 2019. Ironic, isn't that when CV started, the lockdowns here in the US? Or did we hear about it in September? And I want to say that's right. G4 and G5 level storms in history. The most recent G4 was on March 23rd, 2024, while the Halloween storms in October 2003 marked the last G5, which was extreme. And again, G5 is what we're seeing now. The G5 storm notably caused power outages in Sweden and in South Africa. We saw that. And it gives you more potentialities. And again, it tells you, it gets a little more in depth here. Intensified induced pipeline currents, surface charging and increased drag on low Earth orbit satellites, tracking and orientation problems for spacecraft. Now, I just read something in the mainstream media that said it would not be a problem for spacecraft. But this is earth.com. I don't know. Again, you have this, and this is where misinformation is a problem and fake news is a problem, but it just seems like the wrong people keep getting silenced. Auroras may be seen as low as Florida and Texas in the southern states, down to Missouri in the Midwest, and down to Southern California on the West Coast. Well, how much further does it go? Like, that's the bottom of the U.S. Okay, let's keep going. There we go. Possibility of a Canibal CME. And you guys know that word came up, like every rabbit hole I dropped into over the last few years has led to cannibalism. And so, as always for me, it's creepy. Because cannibals are in almost every or at least people eaters, are in almost every fairy tale, and they're also in the Bible, and we hear about them in folk tales and lore. Listen, you don't find these things coming up over and over and over again because they're a falsity. Watch Soylent Green if you've never heard it and you're a young one. Watch it. You need to see it. It's important before they take it away. Scientists have also predicted that 3 of the 6 plasma streams, known as CMEs, could combine to create a powerful cannibal CME, further intensifying the storm's impact. So then again, it tells you what they are and how to prepare. See, they keep adding to it as things go on, I think, and things happen. And so now it's telling you all the precautions. And here's an update. Starting today. So they said it was starting today. Here we go again. But again, you see these words they're using, like behemoth and cannibal, right? It's almost in bad taste. It's like, why would you use words like that? There's got to be some other name, something else you could call it. Okay, now where's the end? I think that's the end of that. All right, now one last thing that most people on this channel probably don't see. Okay, this is from Reddit. NOAA holds briefing about incoming rare severe solar storm. I did not get to hear it, right? So I wanted to show you where you could go and listen to it if you want. This is a statement bot. This is a mod of the channel. So in order for things to not be censored, you know that they've been pretty, like, they've went through the ringer. So they're not going to put anything up here that will falsely alarm people, okay? It's poor sound quality, but in case anyone isn't aware, largest solar storm, or maybe that's just his name. Is that just his name? I don't know, because some of them use bots for the mods and some don't. It's weird, and I try not to, I don't know, that freaks me out. Poor sound quality, but in case anyone isn't aware, the largest solar storm in 20 years is heading at us. The solar storm scale, oh, I better give him a little, can I give you a thumbs up or whatever it is? There we go. Okay. The solar storm scale they're using has 5 levels. 1 is quiet, 2 is heightened, 3 is moderate, 4 is severe, 5 is Carrington event. One could argue a category 6 being larger than a Carrington, but the warning level currently sits at level 4, severe. In this briefing, and that, again, this is written earlier. In this briefing, they do their best to calm the public, saying if everything goes smoothly, average Joe, us, shouldn't have to worry. Telecoms, satellite, electrical, and internet utility operators have been notified to prepare. Effects expected to be seen around this evening Eastern Daylight Time, extending through the weekend, possibly into Monday and Tuesday. The exact timing of the impact is difficult as coronal mass ejections are dynamic events. Aurora may be visible very much further south than normal. They get into an interesting bit about how digital cameras, like those on most smartphones, may be able to pick up auroral activity that you can't see with your naked eye because digital cameras can see infrared wavelengths that humans cannot. Some important quotes which explain relevance to collapse. We do not expect catastrophic collapse. However, we cannot rule out the possibility of a lower level Carrington scale event. Got chills when I heard that. And see, if it is a bot, that's weird that it adds stuff like that. Additionally, correlation has been documented between solar activity and seismic, volcanic, hurricane activity. And it goes on to give references for that. Okay. The article from 2005, the last solar storm of this size was 50 years ago, which I assume they mean was the Great Geomagnetic Blitz of September 1941. I had never heard of that. That's bizarre. Auroras danced across the night sky as voltage surged in power grid lines. A radio blackout interrupted fan enjoyment of a baseball game, while another radio program was interrupted by private phone conversations. Oh my gosh, so it mixed everything up. That's funny. Citizens, and that's weird, considering I feel like the people I know are in mixed up like bodies. Citizens already on edge wondered if neon lights were some sort of anti-aircraft signal, and far away in the North Atlantic, the illuminated sky exposed an Allied convoy to German attack. G5 conditions have been observed, so you see they keep adding to this. The magnetometer is off the charts. I'm seeing a large hole in the ionosphere. It could get spicy. And you see everybody gets into... See, and then you got people arguing back and forth and gaslighting, like, hey, these things aren't related. I've already done the research on that. I've shown you that they are related. All you have to do is cross-reference, and that means look in one area for the one thing, and then extend out like a week ahead and before of that event, and look for either of the other two events, and you can link them up. But nobody wants to do their own homework anymore. I had a couple other things that I had wanted to say. It was strange, just catching this information, and it was something that I was not looking at because I had done all the research on the eclipse, and then I had talked about Ascension Thursday, which is this coming Thursday, Holy Thursday. And I said that would be 40 days, which would be the same in the book of Jonah. 40 days is what Nineveh was given to repent, 40 days from the warning. And that's what they said. This was the only warning a wicked generation was going to receive, would be that sign, and it was an eclipse. And 40 days from the eclipse, they had repented, and things got better until they fell into their old ways, and they they did fall, but it wasn't until like years later. So it did help them. And again, a lot of us were woken up after the last eclipse, and again, earth shaking doesn't have to mean literal earth shaking, but like society shaking, and we are already on the brink of collapse here in America, at least. But I mean, I don't know what we would expect after how things have been. So get out there and see if you can see them. I know they are beautiful. I might go outside. I'll check out my window real quick and see what's going on. But yeah, I just wanted to touch base on that, let you guys know what was happening. If you wanted to see any of the other videos about the 40-day warning or the Ascension Thursday, or even my personal testimony, just check out the playlists. And I will go ahead and attach some links. I don't know how many I'll include, but definitely the Noah one that they keep updating. That should be useful, just in case anyone needs it. And let's take a look real quick. I want to see what's going on this front. I told you I've been watching this right before the eclipse, and I've been watching it since the eclipse happened. So now you have all these strange articles, right? Odd earthquake swarm in Central Europe hints at magma bubbling below the earthquake swarms, the latest hazard of climate change. Heavy snowfall and rain may contribute to some earthquakes. Really? Come on, man. Do better. Texas earthquakes activity on the move. The fault zone has been activated. And I bet you if you looked at that, that would be in the line of the eclipse. But I don't feel like doing that cross-referencing right now. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano rattled by 1,600 earthquakes in 6 days. And there you've got the 6 and the 6, 66. Earthquakes caused by mysterious blobs inside Earth. Do you see what I'm saying? What is going on, man? What are they going on about? This is just madness. Blobs inside the Earth. Like, that's as good as science can do for us today. Blobs, huh? It's craziness, man. It's craziness, all of it. Oh, let's check. I'll show you one last thing. Not that one. Is it that one? This one. Okay, so they only mark them if they are 2.5 and above. So if they are below that, you won't see them. So this is what's going on. And from looking at this from like the past month, I can tell you that that area of Texas is new. Solomon Islands is like off and on. I don't know how they're still there. Japan too, like they get crazy amounts of them. Papua New Guinea again. Argentina is new. Fern Forest, Hawaii, that's a different area, but Hawaii shakes a lot, it seems. Idaho, those are both new. Like, I don't see a lot happening in Idaho. There was one in Montana, too, on here. There it is, Lima, Montana. I've never seen it on the list at all. So that's a little weird. But yeah, that's how cross-referencing works for any of the younger folks that do find the channel through Reddit and whatnot. You gotta do your own homework. Don't listen to other people. Go search out your answers yourself. I know you want to save time, and it is good to ask people who are in the know about their personal experience, but especially on the internet, man, people exaggerate and they lie, and they want you to be emotionally charged, and they want you to believe everything they say. And that's probably not the best practice, right? Do your own due diligence. But anyways, thanks for being here. I appreciate you spending some time with me. I'm gonna check out the sky and probably say my rosary, include you guys in my prayers. And I was thinking today, I hate using the term NPCs and all that. I understand where it comes from. I get it. But all of us have been an NPC at some time. And I was going to say, there only really is one difference between us and them, but I don't even like using those words like us and them. So honestly, what I prefer to use is sinner and saint, because every sinner has the ability to become a saint, and every saint has been a sinner. And the only difference between a sinner and a saint is that when a saint sins, it grieves their heart, their conscience can't bear it, right? And so the more you feel your conscience coming awake throughout your spiritual journey, the more your spirit is ascending, right? And a really good practice for that, and to have kind of get upgraded spiritually speaking, is to be chaste. And I'm just being honest there. But the only difference between a sinner and a saint is a sinner doesn't feel bad. They don't have their conscience flipped on yet. Again, it's off for now. I don't know. But I know mine was off for a while. And it gets on my nerves these days because it convicts me all the time. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's like that part of me that doesn't want to listen is like, oh, stop it, But I just wanted to share that. Because the us and them rhetoric is just played out and it's old. And I do love you guys. And I love what God gave us here. And it's heartbreaking to see people arguing and fighting and at odds and conflicted with their own selves all the time. I remember growing up in the 80s, and it was pretty awesome for a while. And I've seen people come together and smile, genuine smiles, and be happy to see each other and greet each other with hugs and a pat on the back or a kiss on the cheek, and not afraid to touch each other. And, you may say I'm a dying breed, and that might be true, but there's nothing wrong with those things. And the society they're trying to remake is rather ugly and sanitized and not human. Anyways, I love you guys. Have a great night and be safe. Bye.